welcome to Whips in the Dungeon and the BDSM Dungeon play channels. The excitement never ends around here, and tonight we've got an unboxing to do, and we'll see how it goes. I don't want it to be too long, but we got a parcel in the mail yesterday from Mojave Outliers. It should be a 4-foot bullwhip. And so let's take a look and see what's in our box. Mojave Outliers, if you're on FetLife, you could look them up by that name, or the whip maker there goes by Desert Minx. And I will say one positive thing, definitely very positive. She is very good at communicating, either by email or on FetLife, and before, during, and after the build, I had questions, and she was very gracious to write me and answer them. So this came priority mail. There's an invoice inside, and a note that says, "Start unwrapping from the tail." Okay, enjoy, and then she signed it with a smiley. The description is 4-foot 16 plat mini bullwhip in whiskey and saddle tan kangaroo with a 9-inch handle, shot loaded core, 24-inch tapered latigo fall. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. And I wrote her privately and asked for a more detailed description of the build on FetLife, and this is the way she described this whip. In this build, you have the core consisting of the leather wrapped handle inside a leather shot bag. The core is bound with flat sinew to support the transition, which adds a slight amount to the diameter. The next layer is a leather bolster, a long triangular piece of leather rolled around the core in a cone. This is also bound with flat sinew to support the transition. The next layer is a 12-strand plaited rue belly, strands tapered and ending in 6 plait. This is also bound to protect the transition with a bolster. The final layer is the overlay, which obviously isn't bound, so technically this whip has 4 layers, one of which is a plaited belly, not counting the overlay. So that's pretty descriptive. And she cautioned to start unwrapping it from the fall hitch. So this, for shipping, looks like it was wrapped in either a pallet wrap or saran wrap to protect it from, maybe if the box got rained on in post. And see if I can get it started. I'm sure once I get it started, it'll go pretty well. Okay, so it's just like unwrapping a candy cane. And it's important, I think. I mean, it's a good thing that it's wrapped to protect it from rain or inclement weather in shipping. A lot of whip makers don't do that, and I've always wondered, why someone would ship rue and not protect it from the elements. When I ship a whip, either back to a whip maker or to someone that's purchased a whip from me out of my collection, I put it in a 2.5-gallon Ziploc bag. They make Ziploc bags that are pretty oversized, and you can get a whip into them without overcoiling it. So I'm going to spend half of my unboxing video just getting the saran wrap off the whip. But it was important, or is important, that it not get rained on. And since it's it was being shipped to Florida, and this time of year we get torrential downpours, this was a good thing. Because the mailman did leave the box under the carport unprotected. So we're getting there. Like I said, you only get a whip once or twice a year because they take a lot of time to make, and they're not cheap. So unless you're a wealthy whip collector, these are special treats. And if this continues to take too much time, I might edit this video or figure out a way to speed it up so you don't get bored on your end. Here we go. Almost success. All right, so we have a 4-foot bullwhip. There's a piece of leather. That's actually the exact way I do my whips when I'm storing them. And Desert Minx didn't know this, so evidently she does exactly what I do. A lot of whip makers will put a wrist loop or a hanging loop on the end of the pommel. I don't like that. I like a clean pommel so it can work as a ball and socket. And that's exactly the way this was made. I didn't request that. That's just the way she makes her whips, so kudos to her. I also like a piece of leather, and then all I do is just loop it around the handle, and it hangs. And then all my whips hang straight for storage, and then when I'm getting ready to throw them, I can take them down. You just take the loop off and put it back on when you're ready to rehang it. So, what a 4-foot, haven't measured it, but that looks like about 4 feet. 9-inch handle I specified because a 4-foot bullwhip usually has a 6 to maybe an 8-inch handle. 9 inches is a little bit longer than you would expect, but in years of throwing, I found I was clipping my left ear with a 6-inch handle on the backhand side, and I decided a 9-inch handle was the way to go, and so that's the way most of the whips in my collection are. They're all 9-inch handles, so that's a me thing. But let's test this out. I have several videos on good characteristics of a short whip, so I won't go over all of those things. I'll just do those tests, and you can check out my other videos. But first, we're going to run our hand down the length of the thong and see how smooth the plaiting is and how well it was rolled. And I honestly don't feel a transition, which they'll be there because there were plaits dropped, but to the aging whip thrower, me, I don't feel those. Then the next is I check the rollout with the belly. It rolls straight. And that will actually continue to improve as the whip breaks in. Then I roll it over against the spine, and it's not broken in yet, so I don't expect it to have rollout. I expect it to have an arc that would arc straight against the spine. Okay. And it looks like it arcs straight. The fall's nicely cut. It's a little bit thicker up toward the fall hitch than I would expect would be needed for a 4-foot bullwhip, but it tapers nicely, and as you get down the last 6 inches or so, it's been tapered and trimmed down quite a bit. The plaiting is very nice. It's just kind of a checkerboard in the handle. Now there's no pineapple knot transition. There are a few bullwhip makers that do this. This isn't uncommon. I know Viper doesn't put a pineapple knot on his transition. Obviously, Mojave Outliers prefers not to. It's not required, it's really just kind of an accent. And as far as I know, it doesn't form any necessary function other than it helps define the handle where the handle transitions into the thong. So let's just check it real quick. It rolls out straight with a thumb push and a bow and arrow. It's not broken in, so I wouldn't expect it, but it rolls straight coming off the shoulder. So my first impression is that this is going to be a very accurate whip. Most of the bullwhips I have in my collection are 2-belly. I would consider this with only a 12 plat, only one plaited belly to be a single belly build, but it does have 2 bolsters in it. It tapers nicely. From here down, it's a little bit thin, which to me means I suspect the bolsters end about there. Maybe even the plaited belly might even end about there. And this is really probably mostly just the plaited overlay the last foot or 6 inches or so. I'm counting 2, 4, 6, 7 strands, so maybe 8 strands, and I'm missing one. You'd think it would be an even number at the fall hitch, which means for a 16 plat to get down to 8 strands, 2, 4, 6. You dropped, either tapered nicely as you did your stranding, or you dropped some strands. Either way is certainly acceptable. So that is going to be a nice whip, I feel. Now it's light. One of the things that's nice about a lighter whip in the dungeon is you can throw it for an hour and it won't wear your arm out. You can see already right out of the box it's making a nice neat puff with the forward figure 8. You can throw it for an hour, take a 10 or 15 minute break, throw it for another hour, take a 10 or 15 minute break, and just play all night long and never wear your arm out. So I'm excited about my new whip. I'm excited to break it in. And all I'll promise you at this unboxing is after I've broken it in, 6 months to a year from now, I'll come back and I'll do a follow-up video and I'll tell you how the whip is broken in. I'm give you a close-up of the plaiting. It is very nice. And I'll have the links to Mojave Outliers below. And she did what I would call a whipmaker's plait here, but she variegated a little bit, which I think doing a little bit of artistic expression is one of the characteristics of Desert Mink whips. This is my first whip built by her that I bought. However, I have seen quite a few of her whips, and she does like the artistry of fancy plaiting. Fancy plaiting doesn't help the whip be any more accurate or work any better, but it's nice to the eyes. Now in a dim, dark lit dungeon, we're not going to be seeing much of that. And I asked for whiskey and saddle tan because that's kind of the color theme inside my toy bag with whips. So most of my whips are whiskey and saddle tan. So thank you very much for watching. As always, remember to subscribe and ring the bell and come back for more from BDSM Dungeon play and Whips in the Dungeon.